So once again, I warmly welcome Professor Inderjeet Singh Sodhi to give his introductory speech. Professor Sodhi, the floor is all yours now.
Thanks, Dr. Saurabh. I'm very glad today we all are organizing Komagi 2021. Very good day to all the organizer and participants. I please allow me to share my screen so that I can.
Yes, yes. One second, just a second. Okay, sir. Now you can share your screen.
Yes, myself, Professor Inderjeet Singh Sodhi, Vice Chairperson of IPAN Foundation. IPAN Foundation and Alfred Nobel University and ABBA Foundation. They all are organizing this 2021 Komagi. The other organizer are Migration Institute of Finland, Transnational Press London, Ternopil National Pedagogical University, Ukraine, Hatia Mustafa Kemal University, Turkey, University Institute of Lisbon, Portugal, Dimitri Cantamir Christian University, Bucharest, Romania, Mersin University, Turkey, Faculty of Business and Law of the MB University, Serbia, Belgrade, National Institute for Economic Research, Republic of Moldova. I'm thankful to all these organizers. Together, we are going to organize this first international conference on migration and gender issues. I will discuss something about IPAN Foundation. IPAN means Integrated Policy and Administrative Research Networking Foundation. This foundation is a non-profit organization registered under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India as a non-profit organization under the Indian Companies Act 2013 to promote scientific research and exchange of knowledge and to contribute for international and international development. This foundation is an outcome of experience with academicians, researchers, bureaucrats from around the globe. The best practices from across the nations are frequently being discussed and compared for producing effective solutions at the policy level. The vision of its member is to make a sustainable future for the better world. The growing network of members are continuously working for the development of research. And if we talk about some initiative or activity, so recently the IPAN Foundation has signed some agreements, mainly with 4 prestigious universities in Ukraine, to create educational and scientific partnership, as well as for the establishment of research center. The main prestigious universities are Alfred Nobel University, Ukraine, Policia National University, Zhytomyr, Ukraine, Ternopil National Pedagogical University, Ukraine, and Dnipro University of Technology, Ukraine. I'm thankful to all these 4 universities who has had faith in our IPAN Foundation. There are some future plan also, if we talk about. IPAN Foundation is in pipeline to have some more agreements with many other universities in Peru, America, Canada, Britain, as well as our home, India, for the development and creation of educational and scientific partnership, as well as setting up of research centers so that we can focus on research like e-government, local government, smart cities, migration issues, migration policies, environmental governance, tourism management, disaster management, etc. Now question arises why there is need to conduct studies on migration, whether in this 21st century, migration is still relevant, still significant. Yes, of course. For the better livelihood, for new opportunity, migration is important. Around 10 years before, according to United Nations, more than 240 million peoples, or about more than 3% of the world's population, is currently living outside of their country of origin. Migration is also important if we talk about transfer of manpower or skills or some enhancement of knowledge or innovation for the global growth as well as sustainable development. There is also sometimes we listen about forced migration. Forced migration is becoming ever more prevalent as a result of civil, political, and religious persecution and conflict. So there is a growing need to understand the important relationship between environmental change and forced migration and displacement. I would not talk about too much migration, ki what type of research study is needed. As we have Professor Ali with us from Institute of Migration, University of Turku, Finland. She is a renowned researcher and academician and professor. So I believe she will focus on more migration in a better way. The IPON Foundation would like to work on various issues of migration, including reverse migration that has happened due to Corona in 2020 after the March when we imposed, we could say, lockdown in India. So like other country, India also has some issue relating to migration like international migration, external migration, immigration, emigration, as well as return migration, seasonal migration, and some cases of forced migration, but that is less some issue. The reverse migration, if we talk about reverse migration compared to seasonal migration, compared to internal migration or other type of migration, there is need to focus on reverse migration as it has been advocated and supported by our honorable chairperson, Professor Manoj Dixit, and my friend, Dr. Saurabh. Both are of the view now there is more need to look into reverse migration because it is a recent issue which has emerged since last year in India. Still, the many government organizations like NSS or National Sample Survey Organization, they all are not able to conduct reverse migration by the international organization, international institute, as well as national institute. They should focus on, I believe, on reverse migration because it has led to mass exodus of people from cities to rural areas or even from some big cities to small cities nearby. And India, as we know, is the second most populated country as the and also the most democratic country in the world. So there is need to look into this issue. And the coronavirus pandemic has triggered a massive reverse migration from the destination to source in large part of the country. We have witnessed hundreds of thousands of laborers marching back to their villages in order to find some warmth and empathy, more than anything else. And it has also triggered for due to which we are facing some, particularly the laborers are facing some issues as well as those persons who are in the constructions work, they have faced regarding their economic and social issues. There are some researchers who are working at lower level, not large scale. So some of the researchers through their views or their thinking, they are of the view that there is need to complete transformation of economic and administrative processes, practices and policies to enable the rural to face up to the issue that the coronavirus induced reverse migration which have put up before the common people in developing country like India. We need a charter of the rights of the working population across the board that could ensure the right to livelihood, right to food, right to security of their employment, as well as dignity of labor. Such a charter should become the guiding principle in the post-coronavirus phase of India's polity and economy. And recently, we all know there is second wave of coronavirus has started throughout the world. India also little bit. We don't know what will happen in April and May. There is need to focus on the study on reverse migration on some pertinent issue like agrarian crisis, significance of women. If you talk about women, so earlier women who are looking after taking care of the agriculture issue, but due to reverse migration, nowadays the number of women has significantly gone down because now that place has been taken by men. So now, what are the financial sources of women? We have to look into. So I believe there is need to focus on some studies on related to women who were earlier parts working for agriculture and they were self-dependent. But now, due to reverse migration, how many women have faced? Particularly, there are few states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. These are the few states, I think 6, 7 states where we have to look into more how it has affected regarding women's participation in agriculture as well as labor cost, employment, social issues, how this so has affected because earlier some family were there in hometown, some family were in other parts, but now due to reverse migration they are living in one room or two room. So how they are adjusting, these all issues we have to look into, as well as how it has affected the environment. No doubt coronavirus has led to some environmental improving, but on the other side, due to reverse migration, now the population in some part of the rural has increased again. So we have to look into how it has affected. Only through some collaboration or some good research study we could do something. So I believe there is need for to conduct some primary studies. And beside reverse migration, the other important of migration issue could be seasonal migration. Particularly in Punjab and Haryana, many laborers move from Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, these two states, whenever there is harvesting of the crop. After the cutting of the crop, they go back for 15 days, 1 month or 2 months, then again they come. So during that time, how they sustain their life or family and what social issue emerges, we have to look into. I believe the second issue of research study could also be related to seasonal issue as well as internal migration issue. IPEN Foundation is looking for some international partners so that we can work together on some pertinent issue like migration, reverse migration, seasonal migration, internal migration, as well as immigration, movement of the people from one country to another. So, but the important issue institution like Alfred Nobel University, Ukraine, with which already we had MOU. So I'm very much thankful to the rector, Professor Sergei, and all their team, rector Sergei and vice rector, as well as Dr. Oksana. She played very important role for this MOU, and my colleague, Dr. Saurabh. Beside that, there is Migration Institute of Finland, Turku, Finland, International Organization for Migration, Geneva, Switzerland, International Migration Institute, Amsterdam Institute for Social Science Research, University of Amsterdam, Netherlands, Migration Institute of Australia, Sydney, Migration Policy Institute, Washington, America, Institute for Migration Research and Intercultural Studies, Germany, Center of Migration Research, Warsaw University, Poland, Center on Global Migration, University of Gothenburg, Sweden, Center for Migration and Intercultural Studies, University of Antwerp, Belgium, Center for Advanced Migration Studies, University of Copenhagen, Denmark. Some more research, international institute and university like Center on Migration, Policy and Society, University of Oxford, Department for Migration and Globalization, Danube University, Austria, Research Unit on Migration, Management of Diversity and Social Cohesion, Spain, International Center for Migration Policy Development, Vienna, Austria, International Migration Laboratory, University of Trento, Italy. Beside these university and institute, there could be some scientific partner like Migration Institute of Finland, Turku, Finland, Sussex Center for Migration Research, University of Sussex, United Kingdom, Swiss Forum for Migration and Population Study, Switzerland, Redbourne University Network on Migration Inclusion, Netherlands, Institute for Research on Migration, Ethnicity and Society, Sweden. Through these partnership, we both can together work and move further and could look into those issues where there is more need. And some other scientific partner could be Migration Mobility, Bristol University, United Kingdom, Monash Migration and Inclusion Center, Monash University, Australia, Salzburg Migration and Mobility Studies, Austria, Leiden Interdisciplinary Migration Seminar, University of Leiden, Netherlands, Maastricht Center for Citizenship, Migration and Development, Netherlands. So I believe that some of our friends like Oksana and Dr. Sasha both has helped us in MOU. Like that, they will help in further, and other colleagues and other friends will help us so that we could have more MOU and agreements. And as well as some, there could be some international scholars and researcher like Professor Ellie. She is research director at Institute of Migration Finland. Professor Carlos Silva, Director of Center on Migration Policy and Society, University of Oxford, Dr. Adam, SOS, University of London, Dr. Mary Sandberg, Director of Center for Advanced Migration Studies, University of Copenhagen, and Dr. Dace, Center on Migration Policy and Society, University of Oxford. And some more research scholars like Professor Marcel Lovers, Utrecht University, Professor Michael Spindelger, Director, International Center for Migration Policy Development, Vienna, Austria, Professor Michael, European Center on Migration and Ethnic Relation, Utrecht University, Netherlands. So I believe through all these international institute, university, scientific organization, and through scholars, researcher, and academician, we can work something that could be a benchmark for other institute, and that could be helpful for all the organizations. So I'm very much thankful to all the organizer, particularly to Dr. Saurabh, Dr. Oksana. Both are working since more than 15 days, 20 days, day and night, despite of their doing regular job. So I'm very much happy. Thanks to all the organization.
Thank you so much, Professor Sodhi. It is very nice. It was very nice listening to you. Now I would invite